Hello there everyone, this is Mr. Brass, and today I will be going over another series of quotes from another very famous influence in America, John Adams. Alright, to start with, the first quote, "This would be the best of all possible worlds if there were no religion in it." This comes from John Adams' letter to Thomas Jefferson on April 19, 1817, and is taken out of context, and you can tell this by reading the whole quote. It goes as such: 20 times in the course of my late reading have I been upon the point of breaking out. This would be the best of all possible worlds if there were no religion in it. But in this exclamation I should have been as fanatical as Byron or Cleverly. Without religion this world would be something not fit to be mentioned in polite company. I mean hell. So as you can tell, lacktheists aren't doing justice to Adams' words. Another quote is, "God is an essence that we know nothing of. Until this blasphemy is got rid of, there will never be any liberal science in the world." These come from two different letters that he wrote to Thomas Jefferson 5 years apart from each other. First one in January 17th of 1820 and the second in January of 22nd of 1825. The God is an essence line was talking about God's nature, while the awful blasphemy line was talking about European prejudices. Third quote, "The United States of America have exhibited perhaps the first example of governments erected on the simple principles of nature, and if men are now sufficiently enlightened to disabuse themselves of artifice, imposture, hypocrisy, and superstition, they will consider this event as an error in their history. Although the detail of the formation of the American governments is at present little known or regarded either in Europe or in America, it may hereafter become an object of curiosity. It will never be pretended that any persons employed in that service had interviews with the gods, or were in any degree under the influence of heaven, more than those at work upon ships or houses, or laboring in merchandise or agriculture. It will forever be acknowledged that these governments were contrived merely by the use of reason and the senses." Another one in this same, that gets brought up in this same quote is, "13 governments of the original states, thus founded on the natural authority of the people alone, without a pretense of a miracle or mystery, and which are destined to spread over the northern part of that whole quarter of the globe, are a great point gained in favor of the rights of mankind." This comes from John Adams, A Defense of the Constitutions of the Government of the United States of America in 1787 to 1788. The defense, as it was called, was Adams's defending America's government from the criticisms of the French philosopher Turgot. One has to consider how superstition was used back then. If Samuel Johnson's 1785 dictionary is anything to go by, it was used more to denote a religion without morality, or a false religion. This actually makes perfect sense with the idea that government shouldn't use religion as a means of propagation. And when you look at the examples of ancient governments that Adams references, these were all places where religion and government were basically the same thing. The founders were not hostile to religion, they just believed it operated best in its own sphere without government intrusion, and that is what happened in these other states. The religion was basically a means of propaganda by the state, instead of what they thought it was for, which is for moral purposes. The fourth quote is, "We should begin by setting conscience free, when all men of all religions shall enjoy equal liberty, property, and an equal chance for honors and power, we may expect that improvements will be made in the human character and in the state of society." Founding Father John Adams' letter to Dr. Price, April 8th, 1785. Nothing anti-religious here, really. John Adams was agreeing with Richard Price's book, Observations on the Importance of the American Revolution, which talked of protecting religion from government. Here is a quote from Price. "Civil establishments of formularies of faith and worship are inconsistent with the rights of private judgment. They engender strife. They turn religion into a trade. They shore up error. They produce hypocrisy and prevarication. They lay an undue bypass bias on the human mind and its inquiries and obstruct the progress of truth. Genuine religion is a concern that lies entirely between God and our own souls. It is incapable of receiving aid from human laws. It is contaminated as soon as worldly motives and sanctions mix their influence with it. Basically, they wanted religion free from the politics that government would force upon it, which is a very good thing, and I agree that we should keep it away from it, as government, pretty much in my mind, ruins everything it touches. Well, that is all for today. This is Mr. Brass saying goodbye and rise.